Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Jean. How are you?
I'm okay. I've had a few issues lately with a couple of these Zoom interviews, and I think I've got it straightened out. So I am so excited to talk to you. You and I had a little bit of a conversation before we started, and I said to you, you look like you're 25. And you said, well, maybe, yeah, I wish. And I said, no, you don't wish. Right. I mean, no, who wants to be 25 again? But
No.
let me tell people about you. You are a nurse who you say pivoted into working with people who are aging and getting older.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that is what Aging But Dangerous is all about. And so you are right in our wheelhouse. And do you mind telling us your age? Well, yeah, you
Sure.
have
I'm
a website.
68.
Yeah, you should.
68. Yes.
And look at you. And I can tell you have lived the life that you talk about because you look so healthy. All right. So I went to your website, turning60andbeyond.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. And I knew from the very first minute that you were my kind of girl. I love that when you said, are you the person who wants to go for a brisk walk, play pickleball, etc.? You went on and said some other things. Or are you the person that says, I'm too old? Or,
Yes.
etc. And of course, that is what I talk about all the time. It's like, I'm 82. I have a wonderful life. I am healthy. I'm energetic. But I say to women all the time, and of course we do deal mostly with women, but I say to them all the time, Sandy, if you're healthy and you're aging, it is so exciting because there's so many wonderful things out there, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. My dad lived to be 105. A lot of our followers know that because I talk about it all the time, but I firmly believe that I've got a good 25 years left. But I haven't done all these things you've done, so I'm going to quit talking, and I want you to tell us. Which, first of all, I thought it was really interesting that it's 60 and over. I think that's
Yes.
really good because a lot of them are 50 and over. And I love
Mm-hmm.
that 60. And one of the reasons, because that 50-year-old, I read someplace the other day, I wonder if you agree, where that 50-year-old looks and acts like they're 35.
Yeah.
That
Well,
50
that's
is
Cougar
so
Town,
young.
right?
Yeah. And my daughter is 54, and I look at her and I'm
Mhm.
like, she turned 50 and she went on a 350-mile bike ride or something.
Yeah.
So that 60, I love that 60, starting at that 60-year-old, because the 60-year-old is still very young. And
Oh,
so
absolutely.
tell us about, I know that you have, tell us about your website and what you do.
Yeah. So turning in 60 and beyond. And one of the things that I always tell people that I either coach or I talk to, we've got at least 40 more years left to live.
Yes.
And if you think about that, we spent the first 20 growing up and in school, the second 20 or 30, maybe 40 in the workforce. We still have that chunk left. So my goal is fitness and coaching. I started out as a nurse, worked for medical device companies, worked in pediatric intensive care, did all these things, and then worked with a small company where we were working with people with chronic health conditions. And that was kind of my first really awareness of people that were at the time in their 50s with congestive heart failure. They had diets which consisted of pizza, pepperoni, beer, and then they felt crummy the next day, and they just didn't understand why. They didn't know. And I think part of it is that we don't know why we feel good, why we feel bad, why something hurts. Is it something that should stop us from moving, or is it something that should push us more to move? And so when I retired from academics, I was at Stanford as an assistant dean there in the School of Medicine. I said, I retired at 62. That was always my goal. I had a countdown clock, which was fun. It was funny. I had a countdown clock, which started at about 1800 days.
Oh,
And
really?
I blinked and it was like 30 days left.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
my boss asked me, he goes, "Where are you leaving?" I said, "You can't ask me that."
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
ask, but I'll let you know when.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when I wrapped up there, I said, okay, I'm 62. I've got another 40 years. Now what? And
Mhm.
so I got certified as a personal trainer, started running more, working out. I had a round, bout with cancer prior to retiring. And I just said, that gave me that awareness to wake up and live life and help others build that tribe. I
Mhm.
think that's part of it, is building the tribe of all of us that are 60 and beyond. And we're not old. I have people that are doing all kind of fun, crazy things. I have other people that can barely get out of a chair, but they show up to my fitness classes and they show up
Yeah.
as best they can.
Yeah.
So,
That's-
there are reasons why sometimes you're limited,
Yes.
but
Yes. And
just
yeah, and that to me is what's so important is, the showing up.
yeah.
And I don't know what it's like to have physical, problems, because I don't. And so I always say, when I talk and when I talk about great it is aging and all the things that we go through, there's a positive to all of it.
Mhm.
But I don't have any problems. So you see that other side too. But that is so wonderful that you saw that and that you saw a need for that, Sandy. I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
I love that you saw that.
Well, and Jean, you're doing the same thing. You're seeing that you're, reaching out to this tribe. I mean, this is our
Yeah.
tribe.
Yeah.
These are our people, and
Yeah.
that's what I work out with. They're my people. I'm not training people that are 30, 40 years old.
Mhm,
They would, they would leave me in the dust.
mhm,
But, we do what we're able to do and push ourselves. I
mhm.
have people that train and they go, well, and they show up on Zoom and it's like, okay, I'm lifting my weights. I said, you're not working hard enough.
Yeah.
I can see you on that box.
Mhm.
Well, I want to be stronger. Well, pick up more weights. And
Yeah.
so, to help people, and not in a punitive way, but to say, this is what's going to get you to the next level. You
Mhm.
want to feel well, just keep moving.
Yeah, keep moving. And I always say to people, and I think you'll agree with me, I'm sure you will, that it's just never too late.
Yeah.
A lot of women, as they age, they just think, well, it's just too late for me to, start working out, or it's too late for me to, try to climb that mountain, or, whatever they've wanted to do. It's just too, and
Yeah.
it's never, this is what I
It's
found
never,
at 82.
never.
And this is why I think people do listen to me too, is that I know for a fact it's never too late, because
No.
I have tried so many, and there's so many things I still want to try. I'm a skydiver, and
Yay.
my dad, Sandy, skydived with me when he was 91.
Love
So
it.
when I think about these 90-year-olds that are, nothing's wrong with them,
Mhm.
and I think about my dad and I think, are you kidding? I mean, 91 years old, he jumped out of an airplane. So it's the whole, to me, it's just the whole mental thing, don't you think? I mean,
Oh,
it's,
it's huge. It's your
yeah,
mindset. I mean, if you look at, Carol Dweck's work, that, growth mindset, fixed mindset. You're in a fixed mindset that says, because I'm XYZ age, I'm too old.
yeah,
Versus a growth mindset like you're doing, I'm in my 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I can do more. I can do this. I
yeah.
can do that. And that's the difference. And that's where we see, the great divide of people.
Mhm.
Have friends that, oh, I'm 80. Oh, I don't know. And, their body just kind of shrinks on itself
Shuts down.
versus
Yeah,
I'm 80,
yeah,
and you lean into it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And that is just so true. And I always go back to you. I mean, honestly, Sandy, if I sat around and thought about, and I'm almost 83 to tell you the truth, but if I sat around and thought about my age, I would probably get depressed. But then I thought, no, I never get depressed. So probably wouldn't get depressed. But I tell you, it would probably, you know, take me down a notch or two. But I don't ever think about the age. I think
Mhm.
about the physical stuff and, what we can do physically and how we can keep our mental mind going. I mean, I just am not an age person.
Yeah.
I don't, it's just not relative, it's like, it's just doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So I think, okay, I want you to tell us about because a lot of women, I hear from a lot of women, and they think, and I always worked out and I had trainers and everything, but then I haven't for the last few years. I need to get back into that. And I was always told, and I want to ask you this question, that your muscles have memory.
Mhm.
And even though you haven't worked them out, when you start working them out again, they remember. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, they'll, what happens is as we age, and it's sort of a phenomenon of age and disuse, is that we get something that's called sarcopenia.
What's
And your
that?
muscles, it's sarcopenia is when you get muscle wasting. That's the Greek terminology, is wasting of the muscles, the sarcopenia.
Oh,
So I forget which way it is, but
yeah,
your
yeah.
muscles start to break down. But it doesn't mean you can't build them back up again. They will build up. I mean, I don't think any of us wanted to look like, She-Hulk, what's her face, the new movie that's coming out. I don't want to, look like that. But we don't have to. If we're not strong, if those muscles get weak, that's when we fall, we break hips. And once you break a hip or fall, half the people don't survive a year after a broken hip.
Wow.
It's huge
Really? Is that a
because
statistic? That's a real statistic?
yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
part of falls, and there's a lot of research that talks about, is it cognitive? So cognitively, you aren't kind of with it when you're walking and you trip and fall, or is it muscle, that your muscles aren't strong enough to, and you don't have flexibility in your ankles. If you think about, if you move your ankles back and forth, there are a lot of people that have really stiff ankles, and then they start walking. Remember those little dolls that we used to have? We'd put them on a like an incline, and they go
Oh, yeah.
down.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what happens. And so when people, if you look around at people that are older, you see so many people that are looking at their feet, they're looking
Yep.
down.
Yeah.
Your mind needs to know where your feet is, not your eyes, your mind. You need
Oh,
to, in your head, I'm moving. So people that are rock climbers, people that, if you're walking on uneven terrain, you need to feel where your feet are, and your mind is what's helping. You're not looking down, because the next thing in front of you is going to trip you. That's when you're going to fall. So if you can connect your head to your feet, you will be so much better off, instead
I
of looking down. I look at this, I look at people on the street, and it makes me so sad. I mean, it's just look, and I always teach in my classes, when we're doing balance work, look straight ahead, find something in front of you to focus on. I don't want you looking down, because number one, then you get I call it the crow. You get the crow look, or the hawk. It's proud, long neck, shoulders up, look straight ahead.
I have never, ever, ever heard of that.
Hmm.
And that makes, I just got chills when you were talking about that, because that makes so much sense.
Hmm.
My husband and I were at a concert the other night outside, and we saw these people, older people, going in front of us, and they were all looking down where they were walking, because it
Yep.
was kind of
Hmm.
uneven thing. And they looked so old. I don't mean look wise, but seemed
This
so
body,
old.
yeah. Hmm.
And I know they were all younger than we are. I mean, I don't think any of them were 80 years old. And yet they seem so much older. To me, one of the things, and it's just my opinion, one of the things that I think defines aging is exactly what you're talking about, is that hunched over, walking down, looking at your feet, trying to be careful where you're going. I think that
Mhm.
makes you seem much older than what you really are.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're looking when you're walking, if you're looking a little bit ahead, I always tell people, think of a laser. You're pointing a laser kind of this way down. You're not looking down because you ever see those videos where people are on their cell phones and they like fall into fountains or fall
Yeah.
down manholes?
Or fall off a
It's
ridge, or
it's
yeah.
the same thing. You're looking down at your feet, whether you're looking at your phone or your feet. So if you're looking down, number one, you're getting that terrible posture, that hunched over posture with that,
Right,
forward neck and,
right.
tech neck. We call it tech neck, for the
Yeah,
youngins, they're like
yeah,
this and they're over there. And
yeah,
but if you
yeah.
straighten up and look ahead of you, you'll see that unevenness and then feel with your feet. People are like, what? You can feel and start being attentive to the bottom of your feet with your brain. Yeah.
Well, I know you're gonna, I'm not kidding you. I'm very truthful. I know you're gonna tell us a lot of wonderful things, but this to me is just like mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I mean, like I told you, I'm just sitting here getting chills because I've never heard anybody say that. I've never heard anybody talk like that, and it makes so much sense. And I
Yeah.
never could get it together in my mind why it was happening. Um, but I have a question for you. I fell and broke my arm a year ago up here by the
Mhm.
shoulder. It's a terrible
Ouch.
break. Now I was in the garage and I had on, of course, I was going to a meeting, so I had on, like wonderful, sexy sunglasses, right? Couldn't see, but it was in the garage, those little cement things that, that
Mhm.
I fell over one and broke my arm. Now, what I don't know where I was looking. I mean, where should I have been? If I would have been looking out, well, first of all, if I hadn't had on sunglasses, I think I would have been
That's
okay.
the key. That's the key. So the one thing I do in my classes is I have people stand on one leg and then close their eyes. All of a sudden the balance is
Yeah,
everywhere. So if you think about it, you're in a dark environment with your sunglasses on,
yep,
or as we're getting into dusk and nighttime,
yep,
that's when we see a lot of the stumbles and falls because you need your vision to know where you are, your proprioception or where your body is in space, your hearing. So people that can't hear well, that have vision problems, cataracts is another thing. As we get older, I had both of mine replaced. Yay, I love them. I can see my golf balls now when they're
I know it.
out there.
I,
It's a
I
thing of
know.
beauty.
Yeah, I know.
But it's that darkness too that you don't see it, and the distraction. So if you're kind of looking to where you're going, you can have your head down, just looking, making sure that everything's clear, that you're not going to fall. But that darkness, and I would challenge all of the your listeners and yourself, stand at the bathroom counter while you're brushing your teeth or something like that, stand on one foot and close your
Mhm.
eyes and
Yeah,
feel that difference, and then just open them a little bit and let that light in. So some of it's just that visual, didn't
yes.
see it, and your
And
brain
that,
and your feet weren't connected and
yeah, that
distracted, and boom.
absolutely explains it
Yeah.
because I can see what you're saying. I mean, the dark sunglasses, I didn't have any connection between what I was seeing out here and with my feet because I
Hmm.
wasn't seeing anything. I
Right.
mean, these were really dark glasses. So,
Yeah.
well, anyway, it was a terrible break, but I don't have osteoporosis. I don't have any, it wasn't a balance thing or anything. It was just because of exactly what you're talking about. And I'm so glad. Thank you for explaining that to me because I've thought the whole past year, I'm like, okay, now I don't want this to all be about me, but you're such a, you're so good at everything. So the physical therapist told me, you know, a lot about the muscles and everything. And he said, I probably will only get 80% of my, movement back. Well, I can still
Mhm.
only go up to here. So, and I know I can't do my hair.
Yeah.
Do you think the muscle can come back?
I think you can get, if there's damage and, the bone or there's some limitation in the tendons, because the muscles, you've got a couple little pieces that hold it together, but not much.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you've got about, three pieces, front, middle, and back. And if one of
yeah,
those is kind of like if they stitched
yeah.
it up and held it,
That's,
you're going to have limitations with that. But it
yeah,
doesn't mean that you can't work sort of around and do, the things that you can do and work with it and get it better and better and better. You may not be reaching things overhead all the time. And I'm sure it's challenging with that hand, try to blow dry hair and, to
yeah,
get your hands up, but, just work with it. And, other
yeah,
people would say, oh, my arm, I can't move it. And they stop.
yeah,
And then there they freeze.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
anything you can do during the day while you're,
yeah.
sitting, roll shoulders back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I'm
just,
determined. I'm so determined. I'm like, I'm not gonna be 100 years old, sitting there not being able to. So I am very determined, but okay, I'm anxious, very, very anxious to hear about your classes,
mhm,
how you teach. It's online, right?
mm, yeah. And
Fitness
in studio.
classes,
So I have a studio in my home.
all
Hmm.
right? And so I love that. So I'm very anxious to hear about that. Can you tell us?
Yeah, I do Zoom fitness classes, and they're for my T60 and beyond. T60 Fit is what we call it. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific time. And what it's a combination, I do it in 4 different levels of ability. So everyone
Oh,
can
good.
pick their adventure. So I have, for instance, a couple people that are pretty much chair bound and they can do, marching, leg marching, arm motions, reaching, different things. Level 2, level 3, level 4 is the highest level. And that's people that can get on and off the floor very easily, can do push-ups, can do different things. And so all of the exercises are similar in nature, but you can progress to the next level or regress. If someone has, for instance, I had someone this morning who injured her knee. Well, one of the level 4s was doing ski jumpers. So you're on the ground kind of
Now,
jumping
wait a
like
minute.
you're
What do you mean
doing.
ski jumpers? What do you mean?
So you're like you're skiing on moguls. So you're
Oh,
kind of jumping, but you're
oh,
just
okay.
standing. So it's called a ski jumper. And that wouldn't, with her injury on her knee, coming down hard on her knee, I said, you know what, part of one of the others is a single leg balance instead of, or a crossover behind your feet, or something that is movement, lateral movement, but not injuring the knee. So I had her regress to that. Arm motion, she could go heavy on. So do level 4 with arms. But with those bad knees for, this week, regress it back to a level 2. So
I,
people can move up and down, the pendulum, how they like.
that is so exciting,
Yeah.
Sandy. Honestly, it really is because, yeah, and I noticed on your website, which by the way, you have a fabulous website,
Oh, thank you.
and you got a cute little husband.
He's a sweetie.
And, but I really noticed that, you do consulting. So
Mhm.
if someone like me, would come to you and I would have I could have a consultation with you before
Mhm.
I started, and then we would decide on what level I would go in.
Right. Yeah. And there's I send you a fitness assessment where you would do it at home. And it's just, can you do a squat? Can you stand on one leg? Things like that. And it's like, okay, you look like this might be a level 3,
Uh-huh.
because, getting on and off the floor may not be your jam right now until you get some more leg strength, something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So I'll do that a lot and have a Zoom call with people because it's
Oh,
nice. I like to be able to see them
yeah,
and just say, oh,
I like
yeah,
that
you
too.
you look like what you said you could do.
Yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
okay, I get it. And then, it's a monthly fee. I mean, it's very affordable.
Can you tell
50
us what it is?
$59 a month for,
59?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, all
And it's
right.
for 3 days a week, 45 minutes of class. And
Oh,
so
that's
it comes
very
out
good.
to, oh yeah, it comes out to what, $5 a class or something. And
Yeah,
then there's a class on Tuesday, which it's a half an hour class for strength. So they're my level 4+ people. So that's, you're down on the floor doing sit-ups, push-ups, burpees, all
mhm.
those things. And then at 8 o'clock, it's a balance and flexibility class. So people that are in the Monday, Wednesday, Friday class generally come to the Tuesday class as well. So it's 4 days a week.
I love that, I love that, I love that. I can't wait to get back with you. But now, do people need to have, I mean, we have weights at home. We're in a small
Mhm.
apartment, but we
Yeah.
do have weights. What do people need equipment-wise to do what you teach?
They can have small weights. I started doing online when COVID hit, and people were
Oh,
using water bottles. Because I
yeah,
taught in a gym before, and then we moved. I had a gym. We converted a RV garage into, so I have an in studio where I have
yeah,
all kind of equipment. I've got,
okay, yeah,
that's,
yeah.
so people that live locally can come to that gym. But we used water bottles, towels. It was like, okay, because you couldn't get weights. It was
Right.
impossible. So I like people to have like light weights, 2, 3, 5. Some of the men in the class have 40, 50 pound weights. They do bicep curls, but just
Mhm.
weights to what your limit is. Loop resistant bands, a long resistant band, and that's pretty much what we use, because everybody has different space. Some have small spaces. So we try to stay in, we're not running back and forth all over the place. And
Mhm.
yeah,
So I know I'm full of questions, but I'm so
that's
curious,
good.
and I know our audience is too. So when somebody starts with you, do you tell them what equipment they should go out and get? Do you
Yeah.
tell them what, before anything starts, you work with, that's it, and that's through the consulting thing?
Yeah. And then, I have a list that I'll give them, but it's really pretty minimal. And if they don't have it, they can work around it. If they
Mhm.
have a towel, they can use a towel for, doing bicep curls, depending on what they have. And I think the people that are really much more interested in their fitness and moving forward with getting stronger, more mobile, more
Mhm.
flexible, they will make the investment in the equipment. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a nominal investment, if you think
Mhm.
about it at the end of the day.
It
Um,
is, it is.
and it's worth it, and then you have it. But there's some people that don't either want to do it. It's usually I have links to Amazon for things, because that's that's about the easiest way to get things.
Yeah,
um
yeah,
but the flex bands and things, they're $8, and
yeah,
we can do a lot with them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's
Have you always exercised?
no. No.
When did you start?
About 55. At about 55.
Sandy,
I know, my
really?
bad. Well, I was one of those workaholic people. Our
I
motto
know,
was,
but this
the
is
last
such
dog
good
standing.
news.
Yeah,
I know, but it's
you
good
see?
news
Hmm.
because it's like people just went, and I keep talking about women. Women had this idea that, yeah, look at you. I mean, you look terrific, you look fabulous, you look young, you look everything, but you've been exercising all your life. So this is very,
Nope.
very good news
Nope.
because because this women, they've just got to know that they
Yeah.
can start, that as we
Start
keep saying,
small.
it's not too late. That's the best thing of the interview,
Yeah.
because that
I
you,
know. Well, I was about 30 pounds more than I weigh now. I
wow,
was, a friend of mine, we're like, oh, let's go. Should we run? Let's go sign up for the gym and try to run. Well, I couldn't run 10 minutes to save my life. I was gasping for breath. And then we got a bird brain idea because we had too many glasses of wine that we were going to sign up for a half marathon. So it was like, uh-oh,
Oh,
now what do we do? So we signed up and we're like, well, we better get out there and move
and
our
how old were you
butts.
then? How old were you then when you
55.
signed up?
That's
55.
it was like
Okay.
55, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And then the funny story how I got into training is, so I started working out, and then I had a round of cancer, so I had invasive basal cell into my sternum, so I had pretty major surgery where they cut a bunch of stuff out, and radiation treatment and all that bad boy stuff. And that kind of gives you a reset when you have a sentinel event. It's like, okay. So when I retired, my husband has always been, at least later, from about his 40s on, a gym rat. He was a fat kid. I was a skinny kid, so I always thought I was skinny until I looked in the mirror and I was like, man, I'm like 155 pounds and I'm 5'4". This is no bueno. This is not, big round face. And it was like, I was abducted by aliens. I don't know. But my husband, who was a gym rat, because he had this fat kid image and so worked out. So I said, why don't you sign up, just for fun, like learn about personal training? Because he was working out with a trainer. And he goes, I'll check it out. And then the next thing I know, I said, that evening came home from work or whatever we were doing, and I said, oh, did you check it out? He goes, yeah, I signed you up.
Oh,
I said, what do you mean me? I said, I don't do that. I just go to a trainer and I do what they tell me to do.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
And he goes, no. He goes, it's good. So, I really got the bug for, why you do things. Like now I'm just starting a golf fitness program. I'm prototyping it now and looking at people
Now,
that
what does
play
that
golf.
mean? A golf fitness program?
It's specific exercises for people that play golf. So it's strength, mobility, flexibility. But so many older golfers get really frustrated because they can't hit the ball hard.
Yeah.
And it's because they don't do anything but go out and play golf, and they don't work out. They don't strength train. They don't do flexibility train. They do, it's like, well, I play golf. It's like, well, yeah, that's why the ball goes 2 inches. You need to, you need some muscles.
Isn't that fun? Well, that sounds great. I tell you, you are a true example of aging and what women need to know about. I mean, that was the best thing in the world that you were 55 when you start working out, because I'm just the opposite. I worked out all the time, and then I have kind of let up in the last few years, and I got to get back to it because I felt so much better when
you do.
I worked out, but I always worked out. But so I mean, that is so exciting because it's such a excuse for women. It's such a I wanted to say a flimsy excuse, but it's not really flimsy, but you know what I mean? It's just so good that you said that, and that's you, because I think it gives women all kinds of hope, because they can, at 55 or 60,
well, we don't put
start
ourselves
working out.
first oftentimes. We're so busy doing for others, working, childcare, this care, elder care, and we in our brain sometimes think, I'll do it later. It's like people when they retire, they're like, I'll travel when I retire. I'll do this when I retire. And then they retire because they haven't planned for it. You've got to, be ready to get ready to do something.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they sit in a chair and, watch their show of choice.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But okay, so your website is turning60andbeyond.com.
Right. And it says
And
60. Yeah,
yeah,
the
the
number
60,
60. Yeah. Mhm.
and we'll put that up, but,
Okay, great.
gosh, what a great interview, and so happy that I got to meet you and that our followers have gotten to
Yeah.
meet you. It's just, you're just so refreshing. It's exactly what I talk about all the time, and women have got to just realize that that it's never too late, that they can do whatever
No.
they want, and they can, make up their mind. They need all these little fresh thoughts all the time. And you're the perfect example. Gosh, thank you,
Well,
thank you, thank
it's
you.
just doing it,
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
just
old Nike just do it type thing.
I
Yeah.
know. Don't you love that?
Mhm.
Whoever came up with
Yeah.
that slogan, I mean,
Yeah.
should have been paid millions and millions and millions of dollars, because
Yeah.
it's so true. Just do it. you know.
Yeah.
And that's the whole reason we started Aging But Dangerous, was because we saw our young friends at 50, just like, of course, this was 15 years ago. 50 was different than it is now, but they were not getting out and doing things.
No.
They were sitting on the couch. Their kids had gone to college, and then we're like, you got to get out and push that envelope, get out and skydive.
Absolutely. Yeah, do all the fun things, it's always do what you're afraid to do.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
such a fun motto to have, and it's like,
I
oh,
know it.
okay,
Yeah, it is fun,
I
but
can run that marathon.
exactly, exactly. And have you run a marathon before?
I do half marathons because I'm too lazy to train for a full marathon,
Okay.
to be honest. I'm
Yeah,
just too
yeah,
lazy. And if
yeah,
you don't put in the miles, you'll get injured.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I don't want to get, and that's enough. I get the fun vibe, and it's nice when you're running the half marathon and you see the marathoners take off and go out. It's like, "Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not you."
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you're just a delight. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I can't tell you how interesting this has been, and I'm so glad that I got to meet you. So
Oh, Jean,
we
thanks
will,
for having me. Yeah,
yeah,
this is great. Great to meet you.
we will put your website up, and I personally am definitely going to get in touch with you. So
Awesome. Yes, let's do it.
yeah, let's do it. Okay. Well, kisses. Have a great
Cheers.
weekend, and thank you for being with Aging But Dangerous.
Great. And next time I'll bring my martini with me.
Yeah. When you're not going to go play golf. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Sandy.
Bye bye, Jean. You take care. Have a good
Goodbye.
weekend.
Okay.
Bye bye.